All right. Well, we're going to move to this. President Trump meeting with major oil executives at the White House yesterday as he seeks major investments in Venezuela's energy infrastructure.
Trump hinted that a deal will help here at home in the form of lower prices at the pump.
Madeline Rivera joins us live from Washington with the latest. Good morning, Maddie.
Hi, good morning. President Trump has laid out a plan to market Venezuelan oil with the U.S. controlling the proceeds from the sales. All of this would be happening as the U.S. aims to increase production in the country.
Well, we did kind of great meeting with the oil executives. We sort of formed a deal. They're going to be going in with hundreds of billions of dollars and drilling oil, and it's good for Venezuela and it's great for the United States. A lot of money is going to be made. Oil prices will come down, although they are getting down pretty good now without it.
But while the president envisions oil companies rebuilding Venezuela's energy infrastructure, some executives say there are things that need to be addressed. The head of ExxonMobil says there has to be changes in the country's legal and commercial frameworks before they make a long-term investment. They've had their assets seized there twice. That of Conoco also says Venezuela's entire energy system needs to be restructured, and if those changes are made, they indicate they'd be willing to invest in Venezuela and join Chevron, which is currently the only major U.S. firm operating in the country.
We're empowered to make that deal, and you'll have total safety, total security.
Chevron has been a part of Venezuela's past. We are certainly committed to its present. And we very much look forward as a proud American company to help it build a better future.
With the invitation of the Venezuelan government and with appropriate security guarantees, we are ready to put a team on the ground there.
I think your big and bold idea to use energy commerce instead of conflict is something that could make a real big difference in Venezuela.
The president says there will be government security guarantees for U.S. companies that choose to invest. Charlie Rachel Ingrid.
Thanks, Maddie.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Maddie.
You know, that was interesting during that meeting. Each one of those CEOs confirmed what the president's whole point is about Venezuela. It is an ungoverned place. It is it's a place where you can't, they're even now afraid to do business there. But the other thing that I think gets lost in this whole argument, yes, oil makes Venezuela a far more valuable place, a place of far greater interest politically and financially for everybody in the world. But one of the reasons that gets overlooked that it's so important to the United States and to President Trump is that currently Venezuela is being used by our gravest enemies in the world. Cuba, China, and Russia. Right now, their oil is being sent out of the country to help fund the war in Ukraine that President Trump wants to end. And so, you can't look at it as just, this is the United States is interested because they want money or they want oil. That's not the issue. The issue here is that our enemies are plundering Venezuela to do things that are really bad for our country.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that needs to be talked about as much as we talk about the oil and the economic opportunity. It is interesting what you said. All of these executives, for the most part, said, yeah, well, we're going to start looking at this. We're interested, but you can't get long-term, the amount of investment it takes to really, get in there and permanently be there is massive. And you've got to have more than just security guarantees from the United States government. For a long-term investment, you need a government you can trust, a government that's pro-America, a government that has rule of law, so that you don't have these, the takeovers of companies, which is what happened to Chevron and many other companies when the socialists took over. And so, in the short term, I understand what the Trump administration is doing. I understand that they want to stabilize. They've got this Delcy Rodriguez, who's a woman, the vice president, who's now taken control as an interim government. But I don't think until you have you put back Maria Corina Machado because she won that election, or you have another election, and I suspect she'd probably win if that election is fair, and that's a big caveat. But until you get a pro-American government who understands rule of law and democracy, you're not going to get the long-term investment you need in the oil and energy.
But Rachel, if the Trump administration is able to successfully do this, yesterday on this show, I interviewed Energy Secretary Chris Wright, and he said this ultimately is going to benefit the American people in the most visible way, intangible way, will be with lower gas prices. And that's what this White House has looked at, ways to make life better for the American people.